Hi everyone, and welcome to the 2018 Interscholastic Unified Outdoor Bocce Preseason Coaches Briefing for District 10, which includes Caroline County, Kent County, Queen Anne's County, and Talbot County. My name is Melissa Kelly. I'm the Senior Director of School Sports Programs. I work with Special Olympics Maryland. I'm also joined on the line by your district representative, Katie Schechner. Katie, being that she's fairly new to the position, is my co-pilot for the session. So welcome, Katie, and thanks for being on. For those of you who have joined, you are joining in mute only. This is a new feature with GoToWebinar, and we will toggle your opportunity or your audio at various points throughout the presentation to allow for question and answer opportunities. With that, please note too that you have a chat option on your that is offered through GoToWebinar, so you can certainly ask questions through that feature as well throughout the presentation. So without any further ado, we will go ahead and go through the presentation. The agenda for the session, we shouldn't be much longer than, we should be right about 30 minutes that we review everything. Certainly don't want to be speedy about it or overly anxious to conclude it, so we will take our time, but just want to give everyone an idea of when we will bring things to a close. We'll do welcome and introductions at the outset. We'll cover the administrative components of the season, including paperwork and due dates. We'll review the coaches' resource guides and review a couple of reinforcements regarding rules and such. Once again, Katie is the district representative for District 10, so Katie is your primary point of contact. Please do adhere to the communication lines that we have established. We are working with a number of school systems, so all of the Bayside Conference, stretching all the way out to Garrett County, and we're running 2 sports simultaneously this season, so please do. We want to make sure you receive all of the answers, everything that you need at the ready. So we have identified school system professionals to serve in this capacity. So please do consider and utilize Katie as your primary, really your exclusive point of contact. And then Katie can be in direct communication with our office. So thank you in advance for making sure that happens. Katie was on board for the strength and conditioning season, the winter season. So she does have a point of reference there and brings a wide range of knowledge, and also both in unified sports and varsity mainstream sports at Kent Island High School. So I won't meticulously review her responsibilities, but they're outlined there if you do wish to review those at your leisure. I should have said too at the outset of the session that this webinar presentation will be emailed to all of the registrants and those people who we know to be coaches and athletic administrators as well for your review on, if you care to review it on your own time as well with a bit more detail. Katie's working with both me and our regional sports director, who is assigned to the Bayside and other school systems. So that's Kendall Zeswitz. Many of you have met Kendall over the winter and fall season. So Kendall's been with us since, I believe, May of last year. So her personal contact information is offered there. That is her cell phone number. And feel free, once again, please do adhere to communicating directly with Katie, but if for some circumstance Katie's unavailable, please consider Kendall to be your next line of communication. Administration. We like to congratulate you and thank you for being a part of the Unified Outdoor Bocce season. With your help at the grassroots level, we have 12 school systems who will compete in one of 6 district tournaments, and 32 teams will advance from those district tournaments that serve as the semifinals. Those 32 teams will advance to the state tournament, which will be held on May 22nd at Washington College. This is our 9th year of interscholastic unified outdoor bocce. So many of you have been involved since the inception. We welcome you back, but we also do have some new coaches as well. So thank you for all that you do, and look forward to working with you in collaboration and offering yet another successful outdoor bocce season. Please know, as a follow-up, teams are to conduct the sports season for no less than 8 weeks, and with that, practicing at least 2 times a week and participating in 3 or more competitions during the season. So you don't want to be overly to add too much governance to this program. We feel like the leisure of this program that it offers is welcome and appreciated. So know that that's not a hard and fast requirement, but that is been the standard for at least the recent years. So if you're not able to meet this expectation, please do contact me, and we can try to work out or see how we can remedy that. The season timeline, very important, including due dates as well. So March 1st, we adhere to the MPSSAA regulations. March 1st is the first date that spring sports may start practicing. Underscore the word may, and that you cannot start any sooner than that, but that is not a hard and fast expectation that you do start on that date, as is the standard with varsity sports. So as soon after March 1st. March 1st or soon after as possible would be great. Again, adhering to as best you can to the 8-week training expectation. March 21st is the first eligible date for competition, and then as well is the due date for all forms. So that would be the student athlete forms, which includes the application for participation and the affirmation of eligibility. Likewise, please be sure to submit your Class A forms. So these are the non-student athlete forms that we need to collect, we, Special Olympics Maryland, need to collect to remain in compliance with our liability and insurance expectations. So thank you in advance for adhering to that. April 2nd is the next date that you need to mark your calendars. Teams assessments may begin to be administered, and we'll get to how those are administered here momentarily. And Katie will be expected to communicate to Brian Montgomery, who is our bocce chair, the number of teams that are competing in your district. And that's our way of allocating the number of teams that will advance out of District 10 and the remaining 5 districts to the state tournament. April 13th, that's a Friday, the postseason registration forms are due to Special Olympics Maryland. So Katie may move that date up by a couple days to make sure that she has time to receive those, vet those, ensure validity, and get those to our office. So please, once again, your adherence to that deadline is appreciated. April 24th through May 10th is the window in which we can host the district tournaments. So I know Katie has been in touch with some school system and potential hosts for that. If you, by chance, can offer the hosting rights to this tournament, please do make it known and communicate directly with Katie. Katie is going to be working with athletics directors and supervisors of athletics to secure that date. And I know everyone's eager to know that and get that on your calendars so that you can make the necessary arrangements. But we don't have that date set. And if you think that your school has interest and capabilities of hosting, please do let it be known. And then Tuesday, May 22nd is the state tournament, as mentioned previously, at Washington College. The 23rd is the inclement weather date. Administration. So the student athlete form, consistent with, since the inception of the program, we've collected this application. There's a slight variation to this form last year. So this form in front of you now, a screenshot of it, should look very familiar for those of you who are returning coaches from last year or previous seasons this school year. We need to collect one of these forms from each student athlete. This is, for all intents and purposes, the permission slip for the student athlete to participate in unified sports. So regardless of one's participation in the winter season or the fall season with unified sports, they do need to submit an application for participation for the spring outdoor bocce season as well. Please help us in collecting that. As well, as you collect these forms, just a note here, you are in the front lines. Please do make sure that these forms are completed in its entirety and accurately. So things, common omissions would be one's guardian, emergency contact information, the relationship of that person, and then as well the center section of the form, which is, does the student athlete have a disability? And then do your due diligence to make sure that the proper disabilities classifications are checked. And we realize that not everyone is privy to students' personal records, but if you suspect that it is inaccurate, please do follow up with people in your building to ensure that the accuracy of the disability classification as best you can. Believe it or not, even when these forms come back from home, mom or dad, or the student athlete themselves may have misrepresented, not intentionally, but may have misrepresented one's classification. So please do your due diligence to make sure that is accurate. And then as well, signatures from the participant as well as a parent guardian. Accompanying the application for participation is the Affirmation of Eligibility form. So this is our means of ensuring we have a record of the complete roster so that we can cross-reference each of the applications that we receive and ensure everyone's name that's on the affirmation form. We do have an application for, so that's a bit confusing, but you can get the gist of the form when referencing the screenshot there. So we just need first and last name of the student athlete, preferably in alphabetical order. If she or he has a disability, gender, date of birth, and if she or he uses a wheelchair or an ambulatory device. Those two latter columns are not really applicable to bocce, but if you have that information, please do provide it. A new component of the form on page 2 is the listing of your travel party members. This was new over the winter season, so for those of you who were not coaching during the winter, this is new to you. So this is our means of capturing the names of anyone, any non-student athlete who may be traveling with the team. And that could be a student manager, it could be a paraprofessional, it could be an instructional assistant, it could be an interpreter, it could be a nurse. Any non-student athlete, so anyone not competing who will be a member of your travel party, needs to be listed here. And while there are 5 cells, if you will, to list the names, if you need additional space, please do extend that onto even a 3rd page when submitting. This is our way of capturing all these names, and we want to do it at the forefront of the season so that we can ensure proper credentialing for the state invitational. And we do not want to be in the 11th hour taking names, issuing credentials, ensuring clearances are adhered to. So please do make sure that that is on your affirmation of eligibility at the beginning of the season. For all non-student athletes, so this is anyone who is not competing, everyone must maintain a Special Olympics Maryland Class A clearance. We realize that coaches and anyone in that capacity or similar to would have had a background check or been vetted through their respective school system. We realize that Special Olympics Maryland does work with 21 of 24 school systems in the state. So we need to do our due diligence and ensure that everyone is vetted properly as Class A volunteers, because all 21 school systems could have varying clearance expectations and acceptances through their vetting of their adults who are involved with their student athletes. So with that, if a person is over the age of 18 or older, they are to complete a 2-page volunteer application, and we'll get to that momentarily. We no longer require one's social security number. We have an upgraded background check system, so hopefully that's a welcome improvement. And then also you must pass the protective behaviors training, which is a short quiz, 10 questions, and submitting that to us by way of screenshot, or we get reports through Special Olympics and International. So those are 2 expectations if one is 18 years old or older. If the non-student athlete is a minor, so under the age of 18, they must complete the previously stated expectations, so those 2 I just went over, and then as well a student minor volunteer reference form. All of those forms are offered in your coach's resource guide, so we'll get to that momentarily as well. The district layout is consistent with last year. So with that, District 4, which is Baltimore City, District 7, which is Anne Arundel County, and parts of District 8 are competing in Unified Outdoor Bocce, as well as 9, 10, and 11 wholly. Rules review. So this section is brief and more so points of emphasis rather than a complete overview of all of the rules which will govern the season. A pre-recorded webinar was recorded by our Bocce chair, Brian Montgomery, and distributed by Katie just yesterday. So that is a webinar recording so that you can listen to that at your leisure. And you will also have a coach's resource guide, hard copy of the coach's resource guide and recruitment posters mailed to your school, to your attention, or to the attention of the Unified Bocce coach. So please do look for that in the coming week, within the next week. But for now, some points of emphasis with regard to the roster. A roster must be composed of no less than 4 players and a maximum of 8 players. For rosters with 8 players, you may identify 2 additional players, one with a disability and one without a disability, and those 2 players would be designated as substitutes. We strongly suggest that 50% of the roster consist of players with disabilities and the remaining without disabilities to provide a complete inclusive experience for everyone. There must be a minimum of 2 students with disabilities and 2 students without disabilities on every roster. And if that is not, that is really a hard and fast rule, and your team would be considered invalid. So please do make sure that that is a proportionate roster. You have 2 and 2 named on the roster, 2 people with a disability and 2 people without, named on the roster at the outset of the season and throughout. So the actual lineup within each frame, you have one of 2 options, and both are absolutely compliant. So you can have within each frame throwing 2 players with a disability and 2 players without a disability. So that's a 2-to-2 ratio. Or in favor of people with a disability, you can have 3 players with a disability and 1 player without a disability. So obviously that then is a 3-to-1 ratio. Moving on. This is just a point of emphasis to make sure that people with disabilities excel with training, repetition, and consistency. So please do make every effort to make training regularly available, no less than 2 times per week. And also a note there that the postseason advancement and divisioning. So some of you may be more familiar with the advancement process or through mainstream sports. How we do it with unified sports is we take a head count of the number of teams that are competing and training in each district. And then knowing that we can accommodate 32 teams at the state tournament, we then provide some simple math and allocate based on the percentage of teams training as a whole. So for an example, if we have 100 outdoor bocce teams training and 10 teams training in District 10, then 10% of the allocation, so 3 teams would advance out of District 10. The next few slides are in reference to how to vet postseason registration. We just want to make sure that everyone is well aware of how we vet them internally and with Katie's help. So you can look for these opportunities at the outset as well and make sure that your team's in compliance. So first threshold of ensuring compliance is that only student athletes listed on the Affirmation of Eligibility form are eligible to be registered for postseason play. Likewise, the Special Olympics application for participation needs to be submitted in accordance to the deadlines that were previously stated. So please do also make sure that your contact information is completed in its entirety. So many times over, we'll just get a first name of either the coach or the student athlete. So first and last names all around, please. And then as well, the most convenient contact information, be it cell phone number, most commonly, and then as well an email address, so that those pieces of information are readily available should we come across an error, an oversight, or something that is non-compliant. So please do make sure that that happens. The next couple of points, 3, 4, and 5. Number 3 is not really relevant to you, so disregard that. Number 4, including multiple teams on a single attachment, where we can appreciate and thank those of you, and do thank those of you who are most efficient and add, for those of you who have several teams in your school, add multiple tabs to a single attachment. But we really do, in the trenches of vetting and confirming 100 or more teams, we are most appreciative if we have a single attachment per team. So in the instance, I'll use the example of Huntingtown out of Calvert County. Huntingtown High School commonly has as many as 4 teams. So we need a single attachment for each of those teams. And then please do remember that substitutes are only applicable for teams that have at least 8 players. Those with 8 or fewer players, everyone will be considered a rostered player. Also, an added point of emphasis is that rather than using color coding for those of you who have multiple teams within your school, so the example given here, best high school team blue, best high school team white, best high school team red, please use a numbering system, so best high school team 1, 2, or 3. That just makes it far more convenient and user-friendly on our end as well. Okay, so we already reviewed how the allocations are decided. So that is number 1 on the next slide, which reads, number of teams that each division will be allocated to advanced states will be determined by the number of teams that are competing in each district. So we've explained that thoroughly, I believe. Teams will be placed in divisions of the state tournament using their team assessment score on the postseason registration form. So this needs to be underscored and reinforced that you administer the player assessments as outlined in the coach's resource guide to a T, because any variation of that would compromise the validity of the assessment score, and we need to adhere to that as closely, exactly, so that we are fair at the outset. With regard to, again, postseason registrations, actually we already went through that, so I apologize. With regard to the coach's resource guide, again, these are points of emphasis. A pre-recording of the coach's resource guide was made available in Katie's email to all of you, and you can listen to that review and actually watch that review hosted by Brian Montgomery, the Bocce chair. So that is a live link. But right now we will pause and take questions concerns and discussion relevant to the coach's resource guide. So if you are in, I'll caution everyone, if you are in a place where you have some noise in the background, please do self-mute your phone. Otherwise, I'm going to start unmuting everyone. So we're open for questions relevant to his resource guide, and do know that I understand you just received that yesterday, so you may not have had time to review it, but any points of clarification whatsoever regarding the information I've reviewed so far or the sport as a whole, I'm happy to take those questions now. Okay, not hearing any, we'll move forward. I do want to pause just briefly and bring up Katie's email so everyone has that point of reference. If you did not receive this email, please do get in touch with Katie so that she can forward it to you. But this is Katie's email that went out in the wee hours yesterday morning, outlining all of the resources available to you, timeline for the season, the nut and bolts of the season, and then access to the Google Drive. We started the practice of housing everything in a Google Drive last year, and we found a lot of success and very warm welcoming from the coaches. So we're continuing that practice so that you don't need to wait on emails from us. You can simply go to that folder and look for anything and everything relevant to the season. So please do look for this email, visit the Google Drive, become familiar with the documents that are there. It is fairly well populated now with the relevant forms, but if you're looking for anything else, please do let Katie know and we'll get that over to the Google Drive as expeditiously as possible. Okay, so having reviewed that, next steps. So this is, for all intents and purposes, your to-do list. So with regard to your schools and your team, please do make it a point to confirm transportation for your quote-unquote regular season matches. You should be, as stated previously, competing in no less than 3. And the district tournament can count in that, that total. So we do have schools who are competing weekly, but we realize there are different considerations in different school systems. Some school systems have varied resources available to them. So we ask that you do at least 3, but if that's a hardship in itself, please do let us know. So at this point, confirm your regular season match schedule and then confirm transportation for those matches. Also want to start inventorying, pull out the uniforms, equipment, so bocce sets and courts, and check for that everything is in good shape and ready to go and that you have enough uniforms. So a uniform, for those of you who are new, would consist of a jersey, a shirt. So we do not in this program and bocce programming issued bottom garments, so shorts or pants are not standard issue garments. It's typical that a student athlete would have the necessary bottom garment, so khaki or black colored shorts or pants. So pull those things out, determine what you need, what you may need, what's in operating condition, and then check with your athletics director if you have funds available to provide or supplement or replace any items that are in ill condition. And if funds are not available at the school, please do let Katie know by way of email. And Special Olympics Maryland, we began the practice a few years ago to give equitably to all school systems. So in that, I mean specifically that we will, where the need is, we will do our due diligence and find a way, either through in-kind donations from the community or through our operating budget, to provide that item. So, so that is in the instance that funds are not available at the school level. As another follow-up, you really want to recruit. So as I stated previously, recruitment posters will be mailed to each school to the attention of the Unified Bocce coach. So please do look for those along with your coach's resource guide. You want to schedule and host interest meetings. Morning announcements are really a good way to conduct recruitment. I know a lot of our schools this is their most popular sport. But as you are able to provide a rewarding and successful and safe season, we want to invite the masses. So please do everything that you can to really get this sport well known, the opportunity well known among people with disabilities and without. Please know that to plan accordingly. So this season could be subjected to students losing interest after spring break and then enema reports and those sorts of things. So please do make sure to have too many student athletes might seem like a hardship, but it's certainly a luxury, and want to make sure we have a great experience and for our student athletes as well. So the Google Drive, as stated in Katie's email and then reiterated here, is our way, again, of housing all of the relevant documents and information for the season. So please do take the time to visit that Google Drive and populate your name, contact information, as well as any assistant coaches that are there. These folks, we will not refer to this exclusively when credentialing and registering people. So please do make sure that you list everyone here as well as on your affirmation of participation in the travel party section. So just a level of reinforcement there. And then take the time to explore the materials and tools to help begin your season and continue your season. Within your coach's resource guide, there are a number of live links, Special Olympics related, Bocce related, how to better work with people with disabilities and such. So please do look for those resources and make very good use of those. So once again, your point of contact is Katie. She's your district representative. Her contact information is there. Katie is a teacher, like I said, at Ken Island High School, Queen Anne County Public Schools. So a very great resource and person to have helping in District 10. Thank you, Katie, again, for all your help. With that closes my presentation of everything I had to review. I'll pause once more to take any questions. So you can use your chat option, or the audio is still unmuted for those of you if you'd like to bring forth questions, concerns, or discussion. But once again, that does conclude the presentation this afternoon. Okay, very good. Not hearing any. On behalf of Katie, myself, and Special Olympics Maryland, I want to thank you all for all of your hard work, both on and off the field, to make sure that we have yet another successful Unified Bocce season. Best of luck as you start your season, and please do let us know if we can be a help whatsoever. But thank you once again. Good night, everyone.